I was always different than everyone else. I recognized the schools were basically a prison for kids around when I was 10 years old. And I rarely ever went. The principal would actually call sometimes and he'd be like, your son hasn't been here for a month. My mom would be all upset. And so she would actually come down every morning around 7 in the morning to make sure I was up, and I'd left to go for my walk for 1 mile in -40 weather through the snow and and I'm not even joking, to school. So what I would do is I'd set my alarm for 7. I'd go get my shoes from upstairs and I'd go sleep in my closet so that she thought I had actually gone to school. So he caught on to that and he called again another month later. He's like, he's still not here. And she's like, what? I've been checking every morning. And she found me in the closet. And I was like, Mom, I don't want to go to this thing. And so I actually did a deal. This is back in the 1980s. That's how old I am at this point. So I actually did a deal with the principal. I said, listen, this is all stupid. All your teachers are stupid. Like, I am so much smarter than all of these people, including you. There's no reason I should be here. And he said, well, you need to get your badge of obedience, your diploma, or you'll never get a job. I was like, I don't want a job. I don't care about jobs, and all that kind of stuff. But I actually did a deal with my mom and the principal. I said, can I just go for the tests? I'll just go and pass the tests at the end of each year, and then I'll get my badge of obedience. And they actually agreed to it. So I'd spend all day on my computer because back then, I had something called a Unitron, which was an Apple II Plus clone from Vietnam that I found in the back of a comic book ad. My grandpa ordered it for me because we couldn't afford an Apple II Plus, which was $666, by the way. Interesting number that they came up with there with their apple from the Garden of Eden with the bite taken out of it and all that kind of stuff. And my grandpa soldered it together, and that was to me everything. I was like, this is what I'm all about, computers. I love this stuff. And I actually learned how to program it. I actually programmed something that was like the earliest version of Photoshop on an Apple II Plus clone with a monitor, which was just all black. It was black and white when I had it at the time. I called it, I wasn't very good at marketing, but I actually made like the earliest version of Photoshop ever before anyone even thought of doing it. And I called it Berwick Draw, not a very good name, and it never caught on and all that kind of stuff. And I became a hacker, and I was, my hacker name was Bilbo Baggins because I love Lord of the Rings. And, I was hacking and, figuring out how to get past the phone system so we can make long distance calls so we can get onto other bulletin board systems. This is before the internet. So that was what I wanted to do all day, every day. But I would actually go in for the test. So I'd actually read whatever the textbook was the night before. I'd just skim through it. I would write down as much of the stuff that I needed to memorize on my arms and my legs as possible, especially for things like social studies, because like a lot of that's dates and places and all this sort of stuff. Yeah. And I would always go in and I always aimed to just get 50% on every test. I wanted to make a point that I didn't want to get more than 50%, but I wanted to get just enough to get the badge of obedience so I could leave. And I did. I got 50% in almost every class. Even in, I actually did the social studies test, and I knew I had most of the answers because I remembered a lot of them, and I had the rest written on my arms and legs and stuff. So I knew it was like 60% of the mark was for the multiple choice, which was so super easy, like multiple choice, because you can already tell 2 of them are wrong. Then you pretty much can get the right one pretty quick. So I knew I'd basically, they wouldn't actually let me leave. So I actually finished the multiple choice in about like 10 minutes. You're supposed to finish it in about an hour. And I said, can I leave? And they're like, no, you have to stay a minimum of like an hour. And so I was bored. And so I knew I had aced the multiple choice part. So I'm like, I got at least 50% on the multiple choice. And there was 40% of an essay. And I knew I didn't need any of that 40%. So I just like did some doodles and like, this is stupid and all this, fuck you and all this kind of stuff. And I got 50% in that class. And then I got my diploma, which I've actually never seen. I think they did mail it to me or something. I didn't go for any of it. And then my mom signed me up for the Navy though, right after, which I didn't think you could even do.